I'm Jazz Lenny, and I'm here with Rebecca, the intuitive artologist. In a minute, we'll talk about what that means. Rebecca, how are you today?
I'm doing good. Thank you.
I'm so excited to see you. It's been a couple of weeks since we launched your website and since we worked our magic together. So it's so good seeing you.
You too. Yeah.
I'm curious if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and what does it mean to be the intuitive artologist?
Okay. So a little bit about me. I started studying psychology in 2000, and that's kind of wild saying that, but I've been practicing since 2005. Started out with kids and then developed a passion for mostly ADHD and autism were my early passions, and I left and did some clinical work. So that's mostly me. And then I've made three little people too. So my whole life was like children at work and children at home. I've shifted more into the adult area, female autism and female ADHD, which is a little different and a little more nuanced, a bit more challenging. So that's been my most recent specialty. And I love working with adults as well. And the intuitive artologist came around because well, mostly because Jazz Lenny, but also because
Well,
I'm just,
because you're not the typical psychologist, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah, that. And I was just interested in so many things that it was really hard to figure out how to market what I do. So I love music and art and nature and herbs and energy medicine and magical things and crystals and essential oils and all of that. And it was, what is this? What is this? Yeah.
right, when I think of the intuitive artologist, I am thinking of this badass, super knowledgeable psychologist who has all this wealth of expertise and knowledge in this field. But then the way that you integrate, your intuitive knowing and the sort of magical healing properties of crystals and herbs, and how you incorporate art and music into the mix, that's not your typical psychologist. I think it's
Not,
fair
I
to say
haven't,
that.
yeah, I haven't found one exactly like me. So,
Yeah. Um, I'm curious, we work together on your branding, on revamping your offerings to be more encompassing of all of the things that you do. We recently launched your website. I'm curious if you've noticed any differences either personally or professionally since doing this work together, since announcing it to the world, hey, I've got a new website, here's all the shiny new things that I'm doing.
yeah. Um, so a couple of differences. Switching up the model was a whole
Your business
mental,
model?
yeah, my business model from accepting insurance and mostly people paying after services, and a lot of fear around that. And so it's been a whole mental shift. Like I have clients paying ahead and reserving their spot. I actually, like within I think a day or two of launching, had two new clients for the whole holistic psychology package. My very first client for the path to well-being. So that's super exciting. So I'm already like instantly things kind of switched around where the right clients are coming in and like your soul clients are coming. Just got a call today, got a couple other calls. So I was, I was a little nervous about the whole thing, and then also just the thought that it doesn't have to be separate. So I know we talked in the beginning, like I had two desks. I had like my woo desk and I had my psychology desk, and I didn't want like them to blend and mix and affect each other and the energy. And then I didn't even think that that was really an unhealthy thought that I'm just like psychology is here and it requires all this time and effort and it's draining and it's what I do, but there's another way I can do it.
So what I'm hearing
So
you say, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm hearing you say is that you've noticed differences in terms of your energy and your mindset, the fears you had of, can I shift my business model from insurance to more self-pay? Can I integrate more of the woo-woo and the practical? do I need to keep these two parts of me so separate, or is there space for all of me to be expressed and merged together? And I'm also noticing or hearing a difference in terms of people showing up
Yeah.
and paying on time, paying up front, and saying, yes, I want to do this thing.
Hmm.
Is
Yeah.
that
It,
in a
it
nutshell?
It is all of that. And not to say there hasn't been like a smidge of pushback, right? So we talked about that a little bit, how some people feel like psychologists need to stay in their own lane and maybe we shouldn't tamper with like Reiki because it's a little personal, or maybe herbs, maybe that's practicing medicine. And so there's like, and it's not, but this is the perception. And so we came up with that. I guess I came up with the mantra, giving less of me isn't serving my clients, and that's not ethical. And I'm going to just
Can
put it
we
everywhere.
can we pause right there? Because that just, can we say that one more time? Say it one more
Yes.
time.
Yeah. Giving less of me isn't serving my clients, and that's unethical.
Mic drop moment. Any advice for entrepreneurs who are in this gray area of I don't know how much of me to express?
Hmm. Yeah. Something about turning 40 really helped with that. And
Okay.
maybe it's another age too. But at some point, well, actually, about a decade ago, I stopped caring what people thought. So about 30, but yeah, there's still like there's still rules and structure, and you have to work within the system. And but within the last 3 years or so, I've felt that system also doesn't serve people, and it's like the patriarchy hold of what I can be and what I can do, and the hold of the insurance. And so it's been an unworking of that in my mind. And I think if you're coming at your clients with love and support, like the agencies aren't looking for love. They're not, so like they might be
Ooh,
looking for someone with poor intentions, but my intentions are pure. So
you're dropping gems right now.
spent a few years now studying herbalism, and I know that the body and mind are really connected, and that's becoming a huge thing in the research as well. And psychologists know this. Like I'm going to a webinar or an in-person training actually in a couple weeks about the gut brain connection. And it's APA approved, which is my licensing board. And so it's a thing. Like they know it's a thing, but then they're telling us not to, maybe that's overstepping if we talk about herbs or probiotics or something. So it's at this weird place in psychology. So I find I'm always like a decade ahead of the curve because I've been looking at the gut brain connection since my daughter was having a lot of problems when she was 3 and she's a teen now. And so I've been in this and doing it with my own family for a really long time.
I would say that being ahead of the curve is part of your specific magic. So anybody looking for a psychologist who is incorporating a really holistic approach, who is interested in not just looking at the mind, but really looking at the body, the nutrition, your spiritual well-being, and all of the pieces in between, that's when you call the intuitive artologist, right?
That's right. That's right. That's me.
I'm curious, what's next for you? So we've just launched your website. You've got all these amazing new offerings. What are your plans?
So it's so funny that you're asking because I've been feeling like called to add another skill. And of course, my life is kind of crazy all the time, but I'm in, this Magical Healers Academy. It's a year-long program. It doesn't end till November. I just got through a big rebrand. And so you think I'd be like, oh, let's just settle into this energy for a little bit. And like, I'm going to offer these new services. But no, so I'm thinking about doing forest therapy certification.
Forest?
Forest. Uh-huh.
Oh,
I
okay.
know, because it'll get me into nature more. So it's like not that
Yeah.
it's about me, but I'll be able to like not just be in an office, work people through a 12-week forest bathing therapy experience. So it's not a
Amazing.
one-off session, but it's like a whole thing. And the program I'm thinking about is in British Columbia. A lot of it's online, but there's 5 days in the wilderness in a retreat. It incorporates spirituality, plant medicine, plant spirits, like the woo with the psychology about healing in nature. And
In short, you're going to be bringing more psychology, more magic, forest, nature therapy or modalities. Um, that's exciting.
yeah, that's exciting. And I have 5 acres on my land, so I have two separate forests. It's urban, so people won't have to travel really far out of the city, which some people it's a time constraint, to get to
And
a more
where
off.
are you located for those that are curious?
Oh, right in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
But you
Uh,
do also have a lot of offerings that are available virtually and
yeah,
some that are in person.
yes, yeah, just not the forest stuff. But I'm also going to be doing community art mindfulness groups shortly as well. So I kind of
Beautiful.
forgot about that. So I'm trying to do more with
So
the community
more
too.
art, more community, more forest.
Right. Yeah,
Amazing.
all the things.
Um, well, I'm curious for those that are interested in learning more about you and seeing, what you're stepping into and checking out your blog, where can they find you?
Yes, so they can find me at brighterdayswellness.com. And from there, there's links to my Facebook, Instagram, blogs, my ebook. Is that what we're calling it? A
Yeah.
really cool like guide for ease with going gluten-free, dairy-free, which is helpful for a lot of people with inflammation and a lot of these kiddos that I work with. So
And anybody who signs up for your newsletter can get that free resource, that ebook, right?
yes, yes. So yeah.
So I always like to end these client spotlight interviews with a question.
Mhm.
My whole mission is to help people really find and express more of their magic. So I'm curious if you have, and I know I'm putting you on the spot, if you have any advice of how we might express and share more of our magic.
Yeah. So I feel like being our true authentic selves is magical in its own sense because it allows other people to be themselves. And so the more you can be like put your weird little feelers out there, and then you're gonna, attract that same frequency to yourself. I feel like that's a big one because everywhere I go, like I'm wearing crystals, or I'll mention something about energy, or have my, tinctures, or just talking about intuition or using words like, the toxic patriarchy, or, the divine feminine or whatever. So just bringing these remembrances back that have been lost, I think, as women in general are waking up, not that men aren't there, but I feel like there's more women now that are waking up to reclaiming the gifts that we have and not hiding it.
Let me anchor that somewhere in my body. So be my weird, authentic self.
The negative
Um,
feelers.
yeah, put in the weird feelers, and that'll attract my tribe, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And what else did you say? You said, really what I heard you say is kind of like speak up, like don't be afraid to say the things and speak about,
Hmm.
where you're noticing toxic patriarchy or beyond.
Yeah.
So be
Yeah. Yeah.
weird, say the
Be
things.
weird. Say the things and remember that we are like divine feminine beings,
Mm.
you know? Mhm.
Yes, I love that. I love that piece of advice. Well, gosh, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I will put the link to your website, brighterdayswellness.com, for anybody who wants to learn more about you, wants to work with you. And I cannot wait to hear more about your forest.
Yeah. Me
Um,
too.